Sup, gang? Welcome to another episode of Imitation by Invictus. Today, I have the fantastic Erik Dominguez of Speak Up Stories. So, a little backstory. How I met Erik is my salesperson had actually got in touch with him because he had sent me a message after seeing we like to call it the full mouth video that we made for Dr. Io Bobisi of Cedar Ridge Dentistry, which we took this 90s spin-off of like Full House because she loved the 90s, right? So she's like, I want to do this. And then we made this crazy ass video and Erik was like, so good, be in touch soon. So COVID happened and I had my salesperson reach out. And then he was basically like, I have this idea of doing this mastermind. And I was like mastermind, like they sell? And he's like, no. Something completely different that nobody's doing. And so he reached out to us and then we live streamed a mastermind here not too long ago, the beginning of August. And we did this for your company called Speak Up Stories. Mm-hmm. But there wasn't a Speak Up Stories because your background is you were a public speaking teacher, mm-hmm. right?
That's right.
And you're not really from Des Moines.
Not at all, no.
So kind of tell us about, like, for those that don't know who Erik Dominguez is, like, give me the Cliff Note version.
Yeah, here's the Cliff Note version of Erik Dominguez is I was born in Mexico. I spent the first part of my life there, and I spent the majority of my life in Arizona, where I was a public speaking teacher and instructor.
Yeah.
And then I moved to Des Moines about 4 years ago to be close to my sons.
Right.
And which was a great move, but it was a difficult move.
Yeah.
It was really difficult to uproot your life and start completely over in a brand new place.
Yeah.
And as I've gotten to know Des Moines more and as I've been more involved in the community, I've gotten more clarity as to what I want to do and how I want to serve the community with my talents.
So when you came here 4 years ago, what did you do originally?
I got the first job that I could find to be close to them. So I was originally a high school Spanish teacher in the Waukee School District.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and
nice.
Started there. Great school district, great organization. Mm-hmm. But I knew that I got to transition out of formal education and do my own thing.
Okay. So when did you create Speak Up Stories?
This is always in the back of my mind, something to create an area where people could come and improve their public speaking and storytelling skills. Okay. I officially created it in March of 2019, but really fully launched it January of this year. So
when did you stop teaching school per se?
Stopped teaching, all teaching January of this year.
Okay.
Went all in on Speak Up Stories this year.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you walked away from how many years of education?
17 years of education, formal education, absolutely.
Okay.
There's a lot of great things that happen in education, but there's also a lot of things that just didn't fit where my personality was and where my talents are.
Oh, yeah, I agree. I mean, if you don't know about Erik and spend time with Erik, I've been fortunate enough to have that. Like, it's mind-blowing at some of the stuff Erik says, and you're just like, literally like that head blowing emoji. Like, you're just like, what? But kind of tell us about what Speak Up Stories is and how, like, you know, like I know you said it's always been in the back of your mind, but how did it come to fruition?
I started to realize that in the communication realm, that very little attention is paid to the verbal story, to the verbal messaging. And very few people actually invest time to rehearse what they want to say or practice those daily skills. So the way that this came to be is, how do I connect with individuals who will either lack that confidence or lack advanced preparation skills? You know, a lot of people don't necessarily lack confidence. They have confidence to be able to speak in front of other people, but they don't have some strategies and tools to be able to use to really connect with the audience when they're standing in front of them in whatever way that they're standing in front of. So I kept seeing this need, and I kept being really shocked at how few people have had formal public speaking and storytelling training and education. And that's what drove me to create my own company and start to connect with people and train them in that way.
Yeah. Okay, let's pause for a second. Do you need to take that off? Are you hot?
I think I am hot.
Okay. Justin, will you go grab, there's some tissue right there, Erik, if you need to wipe off. So,
got the lights.
Yeah. We have to have the lights because it's such a shitty day.
And then I'm avoiding looking at the camera because of the techniques, but should I be looking at the camera at all?
I can. I actually talked to Justin, he's Paul Schaefer from. I actually do that. When I was talking to Abby, we were talking about acupuncture, and I was like, "What's that Halloween movie where the guy's got needles in him?" And he's like, "Pinhead." I was like, "Hellraiser, yes." So I actually do that. So.
I mentioned something about or else it's gonna be like.
Yeah. So we had to take a quick change out because unfortunately today is a really crappy day in Des Moines. So it got a little hot in the studio. So we had to do a quick wardrobe
change to adjust for my sweaty behavior.
Yeah, no, I get like that too, dude. My hands just it'll be in the middle of winter and my hands are just pouring sweat. Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, I feel you 100%. So you created this platform for people to, whether are they individuals, businesses,
both.
Okay.
So there's 3 types of levels, and they're not necessarily ranked, but 3 areas where I really focus. One is people who don't have any experience, don't have any context by which they even think that they need to improve their public speaking skills. And then the next are people who are public speakers and they want to monetize either through their business or through their organizations, and then working with companies and organizations to really solidify what it is that they want to speak from the stage.
So as an outsider, I'd be like, well, I don't have to work on my public speaking, right? What's the benefit of working on something like that? Eventually I want to get on a national platform and be a keynote speaker type thing? Is that the overall goal, or does every client have a different goal?
Every client has a different goal, but I do hear that a lot of I don't necessarily need to work on my public speaking. It's like any other skill. If you are not studying it, if you're not practicing it, if you're not getting feedback in it, you're not really going to progress. So there's some really talented speakers out there, but they're kind of stuck in slow motion. Because they're not investing time into working on those skills. It's like going to the gym. It's you could be a great natural athlete, but if you're not going to the gym consistently or getting feedback on what you're doing, you're not really improving in that regard.
So you work with these individuals or businesses and you help them just evolve into be more comfortable, just having a better story?
I think those are all elements of that, being comfortable, having a better story, but it's also techniques to be able to reach audiences in different ways. There's different ways to approach a particular story. There's different ways to approach a particular message. And the goal for all of my clients is that I want, when they're done speaking, their audiences to say, wow, I've never heard a message like that.
Yeah.
Or I've never seen a speaker like that. It's also one of the things that I love about my work is that public speaking is a form of personal development, because great public speaking is knowing yourself and knowing your message. So when you're really diving into what it is that you want to say and how you want to say it, and when you're getting feedback as to the way that you're being perceived from the stage, you're having to look at yourself in different ways. And that's really beneficial to growing, not just as a speaker, but as a person.
So we'll just play devil's advocate.
Do it.
I come to you and I'm like, I really love your messaging and I really love what you're doing, but I stutter or I freeze up or, I know I have this really kick-ass story or this phenomenal story, but I just really, really struggle being in front of people. Because I'm sure you get that, right?
Absolutely.
When you're talking to people and you're just kind of like, hey, this is what I do. And they're just kind of like, what? Because that's when I took public speaking, back, I had to, because I was an elective when I was in college, right? Our public speaker was our teacher was just just imagine the room, everybody in their underwear.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but, and you would still go up there and you're just kind of
freeze.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So there's a lot of things there. First is that's totally natural. Everybody, whenever they get in front of any sort of public speaking situation, whether that's a keynote stage or a podcast like this, they're going to feel some sort of nerves. We are biologically wired to think about what other people are going to be thinking about us. And that's totally normal. That's actually really good. I get nervous when people say that, oh, I don't care what people think, or I'm not thinking about what people think. Because at that point, you're not communicating a message of giving. You're just communicating to grab your attention to them. So when a nervous speaker comes to me, my first goal is totally normalize that's totally okay.
Yeah.
Then the next step is, let's figure out what are some of those triggers that are making you super nervous, and then poke at those triggers to convince the mind and the body that even in some worst case scenarios, you are going to be physically safe. You're going to be physically safe and you're going to be mentally safe.
Yeah.
And the more that they practice, the more relaxed they are.
Right. It's just like the gym.
Yeah.
The more times you practice, the better you are.
Exactly. And the more techniques that they learn, the better that they're able to communicate their message without showing some of those nerves and those fears. And showing those nerves and those fears are good, I think.
It's vulnerability.
It absolutely is.
So take it and use it.
Absolutely.
Okay. So speak up stories, like if I want to engage in your services, what's the best way to get in touch with you?
Website, speakupstories.com,
Okay.
or Instagram. You can find us at speak.up.stories,
Okay.
or at Erik J. Dominguez.
That's your personal.
That's my personal. Either one of those are the best options.
So, and then if I was to go into that and say, hey, Erik, like, can I have a conversation with you? Is it like free consultation? And then you kind of like write like a game plan on how to help them?
Yeah, that's absolutely it. It's having a conversation. What drew you to reach out? What areas of speaking or storytelling are you wanting to improve upon? And so then we figure out what are some of the programs that I have that would best fit you, and also to see if it's a good fit. Not everybody is a good fit for public speaking training and storytelling training.
Okay.
You have to have a sense of discomfort and a sense of courage to be able to grow through that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's not a quick fix. I'm not going to give you
it's not a one and done.
No, it's not like here's 3 tips and then you're going to be good. It's let's experience what it feels like to improve our public speaking.
So like what's the average time inside of your program?
Really depends. I mean, usually if you're just starting off, about 3 weeks.
Okay.
And then if you want to really experience what it's like to take a message from nothing to all the way to the stage, it's usually 2 to 3 month process.
Okay. And then what happens after that?
Well, at the end of 2 or 3 months process, we do a live stream. So you're performing your speaking in front of someone. And this is if you don't already have speaking engagements.
Okay.
If you already have speaking engagements, then I'm involved with you in those. As we're looking at the video, we're analyzing that, we're creating a feedback loop so that you continue to grow.
Okay. So do you help me find public speaking engagements to talk at?
Absolutely. That is absolutely one of the roles that I'm starting to offer in my company, is figuring out who needs to hear your message and putting you in contact with those individuals.
Who needs to hear it where and like what's going to be a good fit, right?
You bet.
Right?
You bet.
Okay. And then what happens if I complete your program? What would be my next step after that?
The next step is, it's just, again, it's like going to the gym. The first initial program is, here are the basic tools, here's the basic resources. And then once you're launched, once you're out there speaking, I serve as a guidance to you, as a mentor to you, is what are the next obstacles? Again, I keep going back to the gym, is you're always going to find something else in the gym where you struggle with, or maybe you didn't struggle with before and now you struggle with it. So we identify what those areas are.
Got it.
Go through there.
Okay, so 2 to 3 month investment, right? And then you help me potentially find some good public speaking engagements, whether it's at a smaller level, or could I get to a keynote?
Oh, absolutely. It depends, again, on where your goals are. I don't believe in canned curriculum, and I'm not saying canned curriculum is bad, because it has its purpose, and there's some things that I take my clients through, but each individual is going to have their own speaking goals.
Right.
For some people, just doing the live stream, that's their goal.
Yeah.
That's the epitome of putting themselves out there. For some people, they want to speak in front of audiences, thousands of people. That's their goal. Whatever your goal is, I'm going to meet you where you are.
Yeah, you're going to help them get to that place.
Exactly. And oftentimes people surprise themselves. They'll say, I just want to do the live stream. and then they'll get a taste of the live stream, and then they'll say, okay, I think my message and where I am, I want to do more.
Yeah. It's kind of that they had that eye-opening experience, and they're just kind of like, okay, if I can do that, then I can do the next thing.
Yeah, exactly.
So it just kind of builds into it. It's about the confidence, right?
Yep. Yeah, it's about the confidence and that feeling of being seen and heard. Once you get that feeling of, okay, I developed a message and people listened to it and I got great feedback from that, that's an addiction, right? You want to continue to be seen and heard. So how do you continue to do that?
Yeah. That's awesome. So let's talk about, you also have a Keynote program.
Yes.
Correct? And you have, 6 people in this one?
There's 6 people in that, which is perfect size.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so the Keynote program is for those individuals that want to monetize on their speaking. They're already speaking or they want to be speaking. But how do you speaking from a stage relate to monetization? How are you your verbal marketing department?
Okay.
How are you your own commercial?
Yeah.
Because if your message from the stage isn't landing, a lot of times that's going to be pretty detrimental to the after effects.
Right.
And it's a delicate balance, because when you speak, you are there to serve. You're there to serve whatever community it is that you are speaking. And you also want to be aware that other people will want to use your talents, either in your coaching programs or in your books or whatever the case may be. So how can you balance the two out to be able to serve that community, but also monetize off of that?
Okay. And is there a set program time inside of that, or is it just until you're ready to go out on your own?
For that keynote, it's usually about 3 months, but I tell all the participants that I'm with you until it's done. Yeah. Right? Because sometimes the messaging might be a little bit more complex than we thought. Sometimes we need to work on the delivery. Sometimes arranging that keynote, it might be a little bit more difficult. So I'm with you until we're done. And even then, I'm still giving you feedback. Okay.
So as we're kind of right now, we're still stuck in COVID times. What's that been like for the public speaking realm? Because we know that events have been canceled, engagements, things like everything, right? Because of this whole social distancing thing.
Right.
What have you seen?
Well, it was really disappointing because, like I said, I started in January, and that's when I started getting keynotes booked.
Yeah.
And I was on the verge of really going all in towards those keynotes, and March happened and everything got canceled.
Right.
And then a lot of people assumed that would be the norm for a very long time. While big events aren't necessarily happening, they're starting to come back. Okay. And virtual events are continuing to happen. Yeah. Virtual speaking and person-to-person speaking are a little bit different, but they're not so complexly different that you can't translate one to the other. Okay. Great public speaking skills are going to be great public speaking skills, whether you're just speaking in front of one camera, a Zoom meeting, or in front of a stage of 5,000. Yeah. So I'm confident that those events, those face-to-face events, are going to continue to come back more and more as time goes on. And the virtual landscape is a wonderful tool to get that experience.
To start off in.
Yeah, just anytime you have to be able to speak your message in front of an audience, even if you can't physically see that audience, it's going to be so critical to your confidence. Okay. Because you can take those virtual events and then you can work with your clients on, hey, have you thought about doing this or that, right? Yeah. So you can still help coach people through those virtual events. You bet. You bet. Absolutely.
Because I think that's like the big misconception is, maybe I don't have to prepare as much because I'm doing a virtual event versus a 5,000 person event, So you can still sit down with them, coach them through it. People still make mistakes, right?
All the time. Yeah. All the time. That's something that I meant to mention earlier, is that you're never going to deliver the perfect speech, right? It's never going to happen that from start to finish you have completely nailed every aspect that you were, in your mind.
What about if I'm Tony Robbins?
I'm sure that Tony Robbins makes mistakes. I'm positive of it. The difference between an experienced speaker like Tony Robbins and some other speakers is that Tony Robbins has had enough experience and he's trained himself enough that those mistakes are going to be more difficult to point out to a general audience. Okay. I would be willing to bet a lot of money that as soon as Tony Robbins walks off, he could identify the areas where he might have flipped something, or he didn't say something, or he missed something.
Okay.
And he's understanding where those gaps are.
So it's okay to not be perfect.
Totally okay to not be perfect.
Because I think that's like, that's what people are trying to obtain, right? That's like the pinnacle is if I do a speech, or if I'm doing a keynote, or if I'm doing a virtual event, I have to be on point and perfect every time.
And that is usually the killer of great public speaking.
Okay.
Because people think that if I can't be perfect, I'm not going to try. If I can't have 0 filler words, and if I can't have like the perfect delivery, then I'm going to be mocked. I'm going to be a failure. I'm not going to be able to do this. And that's usually what hesitates people working with me, is I don't want to take that step. I mean, I mess up in my speaking all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just so many different elements of where things could go wrong, major or minor. And it's not about focusing on those. It's about identifying, okay, here's why it didn't go well.
Yeah.
And here's how I can improve on the next time.
Right. Shake it off, move on,
Exactly.
fix it. Next time you'll recognize it.
Yeah. And having that feedback loop is so good, because sometimes I don't know that I've done something wrong. And when I send my material to my coaches and they point something out like, hey, did you prep this, or did you notice this, or what about this? That's really eye-opening for me.
So you have coaches.
Oh yeah, you bet.
There you go. Erik has coaches.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't go without coaching.
Okay.
That would, again, it's like me going to the gym by myself.
Yeah.
Could kind of figure some things out, but it's much better if I have somebody giving me feedback.
I've always looked at it like sometimes a coach needs a coach.
You bet.
Yeah.
You bet.
Okay, so again, speakupstories.com, right?
Yep.
And then speak.stories. What's the last piece of it again?
It's at speak.up.
Okay.
.stories.
There
That's
you go. You got to make sure you put the dots in, guys. Yeah. And then what could be after, like if I'm already doing my keynote stuff, what do you recommend after that?
If you're already doing keynotes, if you're already monetizing from the stage,
Okay.
it's what my recommendation is, what does your feedback loop look like?
Okay.
Are you giving your materials to someone who you trust, someone or a team of someone's that you trust to be able to give you effective and direct feedback?
Okay.
Or do you just have a feedback loop of, that was awesome.
Yeah.
You did great. That was so wonderful. Having cheerleaders is good, but you also want to continue to have people who can guide you in the right direction.
Okay. That's always good to know.
Yep.
It's okay to not be perfect, and it's okay to have coaches.
You bet.
So what's kind of your story? What's kind of your Cliff Notes story? Like, like if I said, Erik, I'm running XYZ convention and I want you to be my keynote, what would you kind of come and talk to us about?
I'll talk to you about the fact that public speaking is the required art.
Required art.
It is the required
That's a pretty bold
art.
statement.
Yeah, it is the required art. First, it is an art.
Okay.
A lot of people treat public speaking as a science, which it does have science.
Okay.
Right? There's formulas, there's outlines, but it's messy.
Okay.
Because as humans, we're messy.
Yeah.
So when we have a message that we want to deliver to other humans that are messy, we get to be messy in that process. And the reason why it's required is because we don't have that option. We don't have the option of not speaking up who we are.
Okay.
Even if we choose not to say anything to anyone, that in itself is a choice.
Okay.
So the required art is about how do we find ourselves through being seen and heard. And part of that is my own experience of this ongoing personal development that I've experienced through public speaking.
The last 20 years.
Exactly.
Okay.
Is I continue to learn much more about myself through how I am speaking.
Got it. And you've done, like, I see on your LinkedIn and of course Instagram, like you post on there, like you've done quite a few virtual events.
Yes. Oh yeah, absolutely.
The last year.
You bet. You bet.
And then what's coming up for you?
There's a lot of different other virtual events that are happening. Some of them are more workshop based. Some of them are more keynote based.
Okay.
But my primary focus right now is giving my clients the top quality programming that I can give them, giving them the top training. And a lot of times that gets complicated because, again, each individual is unique, and my goal is to give them that unique experience to get them to their goals.
Right.
What I'm working on right now is one of the major objections, and it's a good objection, is that people don't have the time to invest in large programs.
Yeah. Like if you were to come to me and ask me, I'd be like, no, I'm trying to run a business. I'm trying to conquer the world.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so to commit to a 2 to 3 month program, which is 2 or 3 hours a week, that's intense.
That's a lot of time.
It's really difficult. So I'm almost to the finishing touches of creating a program where it would be 11 minutes a week, where you could create 11 minutes a week of learning something about public speaking and storytelling, practicing it, and then getting individual feedback from me.
Why 11 minutes? That's such a random number.
I know, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because it would be 5 minutes of instruction, of me talking to you, 5 minutes of you talking to me, and then a minute of me giving you feedback on that. So you're getting the best of all worlds.
Yeah, in 11 minutes.
11 minutes.
And when are you going to launch that?
That'll be probably early November or early December.
Got it. So guys, keep a lookout on that. Because you will post it on Facebook,
Everything.
Instagram, LinkedIn, your website, all of it, right?
All of it.
Okay. So keep an eye out on that. I'm sure we might make a commercial for that. So, yeah. That'd be actually really cool. 11 minutes of public speaking one-on-one.
11 minutes.
So outside of that, and then some of the virtual events you got going on, and then your clients, I mean, what else do I need to know about Erik J. Dominguez? Besides, I know sometimes I can find you at that taco truck on University.
Oh, that taco truck on University is magical. It's absolutely magical. What else do you need to know about me? I love spending time with my boys.
He's got 2 little boys.
They are adorable and wonderful.
They're super shy. I remember we actually did a commercial for the fantabulous, the other better half of Erik, Whitney Warren, for Ivory House, and he brought his boys to be photographed. Yeah, because why not, right? Right. And I remember saying, "What's up, guys?" And they just sat there and just looked at me like, "Yeah." they're the polar opposite of you.
Well, initially they are, because they're kind of feeling out where are we, what's going on, and then after a few moments, then you see a lot of my own energy pop out.
Yeah.
So
I wasn't there long enough, but I was like, "Okay, high fives," and they were kind of like, "Do I or don't I?" And I was like, "I'm not going to kill you," and they were kind of like, "Pow." Real quick.
Right.
Yeah. They're super sweet.
They are adorable. So when I'm not working on all of the different elements, I'm spending time with Whitney. I'm spending time with them. I'm doing my best to learn to relax, which is very difficult for me.
Really?
Oh yeah.
You're that high strung?
Oh yeah, big time.
I would have never have guessed, because I see the fun Erik most of the time. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I think it's just that energy. I want to keep moving. I want to keep growing. I want to keep doing things. And so even on a weekend like this, yesterday, which was Saturday, I spent the day working on home projects. Yeah. And then today I had to force myself to just
chill out.
Just be cool. Yeah. Just be cool. Chill out. Read.
Yeah, I always see the fun Erik. I remember when we did the live stream before we actually started, you brought everybody in this room, and you guys did your warm-up session, and you guys did and it was just a lot of fun. So I guess I only see fun Erik, not super serious Erik.
Oh yeah, there's a super serious, zone focused, gotta get all these things done.
Bullet check them off.
Just go before I can relax. And so that's what I'm working on, is I don't have to have everything accomplished before I can unwind and relax.
So basically how to zen.
Yeah. Okay. That's a challenge for me.
Okay.
Getting there slowly.
Okay, yeah. I do acupuncture for that.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. My chi gets all messed up, so.
Mine does too. I should look into that.
Yeah, acupuncture is great. I just go in there and I just check out for 90 minutes.
Oh, that's really good.
Yeah, I fall asleep sometimes. I fall asleep so much that I wake myself up because I just zoned out. Right. And usually after I do that, I'm kind of okay, and then I'm about ready. I fall back asleep again, and then he comes in, he gets me, and I'm like, next thing you know, it's been 90 minutes. Wow. It's crazy. But I feel 50 times better.
Right, of course.
Yeah, so.
Probably mostly because of the acupuncture, but also because you just stayed still for 90 minutes.
I was able to tune out. Yeah. Yeah, because I'm like you. You can I get in the boys' ass all the time, and they're just kind of like, dude, just give me a sec. And I'm just like, no, get it done now. But that's how we get shit done here. So, because I always have clients that are like, oh man, you got my video done? Yeah, I got your commercial done. You're welcome. So, Isn't that right, Justin?
Yes, it is.
That's how we roll here. Yeah, acupuncture is the way to go for sure. Okay, so if you're not out and about with Whitney or with your boys,
I'm at the gym.
Which is CrossFit 515.
CrossFit 515 in Grimes. Awesome place. Yeah,
and you've been there since you moved here.
4 years.
Okay.
Yeah, a little bit over 4 years. That is a great place of Zen for me. That's a great place of self-care.
Yeah.
And I'm really quiet at the gym. A lot of people
Really?
a lot of people are surprised that I'm very, very quiet at the gym.
Okay.
Not because I'm necessarily like reserved, but that's just a time where I get to only focus on one thing.
Yeah.
You know, I
Yeah.
can only focus on that one thing.
Yeah.
I can't be thinking about the emails or whatever. It's just like,
Well, yeah.
lift this weight and don't get hurt and do it right.
You have to.
Yeah, you bet. You bet. And it's just a great mental release for me.
Right.
Great mental release.
And then you also like to cook.
I love to cook.
Right.
I have not traditionally in my life been a great cook. And then about 1.5 years ago, I made the commitment to change that.
Okay.
So slowly I've been learning a lot from my mom and my dad. They get lots of phone calls on the weekends as to what I'm doing.
Yeah. Because they still live in Arizona?
My mom lives in San Diego and my dad lives in Arizona.
Okay.
And then, yeah, that's been so healing. And also a good Zen is getting
Yeah.
into the groove of what I want to do and how I want to do that.
Yeah. Well, cooking is very meticulous.
Mm-hmm.
So like you have to pay attention, and it's literally like you're checking off those bullet points. Yeah.
that's exactly.
So a type A personality would really, really enjoy that aspect.
I do love that. There's an order to it. There's a routine to it. But
Yeah.
again, it's a science and an art.
Right.
There's also some creativity that I get to
Yeah.
include in there.
Yeah, because I see whatever you post and then Whitney posts. I was like, damn, that looks really good.
Yeah, I've made some pretty good ones.
Those tacos that you make, I'm just kind of like, they need to invite me over.
Yeah. You got an invitation. Next time I make those carnitas, it's yours.
Yes. You guys hear that?
It's on record now. So
On record. Yeah. And we gotta go try these carnitas. So, all right. So once again, speakupstories.com.
Yeah.
And then Speak Up Stories, but don't forget the dots in between each one.
Yeah.
On Instagram and Facebook, right? Mm-hmm. And then, of course, if you just need to get in touch with you, Erik J. Dominguez.
Erik J. Dominguez at Facebook or on Instagram.
Yeah.
Either one.
Yeah. And then what's your Enneagram? Because Whitney's been on the show.
Oh. And I am an Enneagram 2.
And for those that don't know what that is, give us like the short version of it.
Love talking about this. This is actually how Whitney and I met.
Correct. We talked about this.
Good.
Yeah, how it was on your Facebook profile.
It was on my Facebook profile. So the Enneagram is a personality test, but it's not quite a personality test. Right. If somebody would to have asked me to take a personality test, I would have rolled my eyes and walked away. But this is much more digging into the emotions and the why we do what we do.
Right.
And I have found it as a beautiful tool to be able to identify, why do I mess this up sometimes? Or why do I get angry at this sometimes? Or why do I feel needy at this sometimes? And so it's been a really great awareness for myself and for other people.
Yeah.
And it connected Whitney and I together. So
right.
That's a huge one.
That's like one of the best stories I've ever heard.
So she told the story.
She did tell the story.
You guys could just check out her podcast and you'll see.
Yeah. Like, well, I had known that because I went to dinner with you guys and like, I was like, how'd you guys meet? And they tell me the story. I was like, shut up, shut the front door. This really went down. She's like, yeah. I like to say Erik is one of the most unapologetically men I've ever met. Like Erik's just like, yeah, okay, whatever. I don't care.
Yeah.
You just roll with it.
Yeah, I appreciate you saying that.
Now I know that he's really like, oh.
Yeah.
But yeah, Erik's good shit, guys. So Enneagram 2.
Enneagram 2. That's the helper.
Okay.
That's the helper. So that's the person who wants to desire to assist everybody, to
But that's what
support
you're
everybody.
doing.
Yeah.
That's your life right
absolutely.
now.
Yeah.
So this fits really well with you.
You bet.
I haven't taken it yet. We've been meaning to, and
Okay.
I've talked to Whitney about this. But she thinks I'm an 8. And when I looked at it, it said, Justin, did you know it basically says, likes confrontation? So I embrace that shit. So if you can't see this, Justin's in the background like, yeah, she does.
Yeah, you're not supposed to type other people, but if I had to put you in a bucket.
That's what she said.
An
but
8 cent makes sense.
But that's Whitney as well.
It is,
So
yeah.
I looked it up and I actually sent the screenshot of it to Abby, and then I turned around and sent it to Whitney, and I was like, oh, this is doing me so well.
Yeah, that's the good thing and the bad thing about the Enneagram is that you read the descriptions and they start off positive. They're like, oh yeah, I'm awesome. This is great. And then they dig into your shadows. They dig into your habits that are not positive, and you think, oh no, this is not, somebody really knows who I am. Yeah, this is some deep shit. And what's interesting is when I first read the 2 is like, oh, I don't do that. That's not me. And the very next day, like I did those things. And I thought, dang it.
It had called you out on it before you had even done it.
Yeah, you bet.
Yeah, that's crazy. So you're into it just as much as Whitney.
You bet. She's got much more formal training on it.
Yeah.
And which is great because then we continued the conversation and I continue to learn about what that means and how do you impact others through understanding
but
what
do
their
you
numbers.
use that for your speak up story stuff?
I do
Okay.
to a much more limited extent that other people are using, but it helps me especially initially understand what are the motivating factors behind each client. What is driving you and what is bringing you the most fear, especially in the context of speaking and performing in front of others.
What drives you and what stays undercover.
You bet.
Yeah, and then you help people get over what they keep undercover.
Exactly.
And you just help them come into I wouldn't say the light, but you just bring it forward and then they're self-aware of it.
Exactly. It's being self-aware of it and then consistently reminding them that taking certain steps into that discomfort, they're going to continue to be safe.
Yeah.
It actually, there's more safety in stepping into that discomfort of being seen and being heard than there is of holding yourself back.
Okay. All right. So you guys, if you want to spend time with the fantabulous Erik J. Dominguez, I feel like that should be, we need to make like some sort of like, Justin, I think we need to make like some sort of smooth commercial.
Yeah, Erik J. Dominguez.
Yeah, like Barry White in the background.
Let's do it. Yeah.
Yeah. Bow, bow, bow. Erik J. Dominguez. And then you can, like, if you were to say it in Spanish, what would it sound like?
It would be Erik Dominguez.
Ooh, yeah. We can totally do that.
Yes, Antonio Banderas.
There you go.
Yeah. Look out, Antonio. Here comes Erik. We could totally do that.
Okay, let's be on that.
Okay.
It's good.
We got the sound booth. We can do whatever we want. So, okay. SpeakUpStories.com.
Yes.
Erik J. Dominguez. Speak Up Stories is on Facebook and Instagram.
All of the things.
All the things. So thanks for coming on. We appreciate all the time that you gave. And then what's something coming up? Like, are you taking time off during the holidays? Or are you going to go, or are you just going to keep on pushing and then something new's coming up for 2021?
I'm going to keep pushing all the way through.
Okay.
I will likely take the end of the year off to spend time with my sons and
just for the holidays.
Yeah, spend some good time with them and with family. And then 2021 is continuing all of the programs and continuing to improve the quality of those programs as well.
Okay, so you guys know where to go, where to find Erik, where to find Speak Up Stories, and that if you just want to have a conversation, right? Yeah. That's all it is.
Just a conversation, just figuring out who you are, what brought you to reach out, and what is it that your goals are. It's not a commitment. Not at all. It's just having that conversation and seeing if this is, honestly, it's a right fit for the both of you. You bet. And then kind of go from there. You bet. Everything evolves from there. Mm-hmm. All right, so we'll most likely have Erik back on, so keep a lookout on that. And then just, you can always find him on social media. Him and the boys are always doing something. Always doing something wacky and fun. Yeah, for sure. I want to do it, and I'm like 42. So. Erik, thanks again for coming on. And we'll be on for the next Invitation with Invictus.